What's happening, friends?
Well, I got you way zoomed out.
Zoom out. You gonna zoom me in?
I'm gonna zoom you in.
Get to see the dungeon here.
Yeah.
Zoom, zoom, zoom.
Live from downtown Moses Lake. It's the Rick Beery Show.
Yeah, you don't want to see the lights in this town.
You dreamed of that as a kid, man. Like, one day I want to host my own show, and here you are.
Saturday Night Live. Oh man. Well, we can tell a few jokes. Yeah.
Studio live.
Oh, oh man.
Yeah.
So yesterday, Donnie had a little barbecue, a little cancer-free barbecue.
Yes, sir.
And Donnie was like in the house hiding, and people came and they're like, "Where's Donnie?" And you don't want to invite me to a party. I was like, uh,
We lost him.
Donnie didn't make it. This is a celebration of life.
That
But on the other side, he is cancer free.
really happened.
Yes.
Oh, it's so awesome.
I'm terrible. I'm like, people rolling their eyes and yeah. So don't bring me if it's like an emotional, private event. I'm not the guy you want to.
But I'm also the guy that doesn't give a crap about stuff
That's
like that.
that's true.
Yeah, I didn't make it.
Donnie didn't make it.
Yeah, nobody came to my funeral. That's horrible. Like 5 people.
He'd jump out. I'm alive. Just wanted to know. Yeah.
Hey, we're live on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Rumble. Where else? And X.
Yeah.
So, and also, I'm only going to say this twice in the show. If you want to donate and support us, it's gladly. We're very thankful for it. You can do it on Cash App and PayPal. Just the Rixican Show. However, just look for all one word, all lowercase, Rixican Show.
Yeah. Anyway, if Donnie disappears, it's probably my fault. He offered me everything he owns if something happens to him, and I was like, "Cool. How do we speed this process up?"
I've died 3 times this week.
How was that?
He keeps coming back.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, "Did you get a message from the other side?" Nope. Try again.
Hold him down longer.
Yeah, it's like a little water torture, pushing the limits.
Yes.
But anyway, oh, why did I bring up water torture?
Yeah, we're still live on TikTok, so
Yeah, I
we're
have
not
flashbacks. I know something about how to do this appropriately.
we are not
And
in
we won't
any
talk
way
about it. Don't talk. New subject.
we are not in any way recommending or
Water torture.
unaliving anybody. We do not
It's not.
support.
It's not unaliving. It's how to do it so they don't drown.
No, stop.
So you don't want
Stop.
you don't want to
Stop.
do it like they do in the movies.
Silence to you.
How they do it in the movies is not correct.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say.
Yeah, please.
Oh, we've been kicked off TikTok again. Oh man. We'll get into this in a little bit, but I've had a couple predictions that are coming true or have come true, and I'm like, this is pretty amazing because it's scary to make a prediction with the wild way things are happening, and so like I'll put stuff out there, and go, man, if I'm wrong, like you're mud, your name's dirt, your credibility's gone, and so it's kind of scary to get information from sources and say things, and then you're like, okay, I got to trust the process. Take my word, bro. Like because there's no way to prove this stuff because this is so like backdoor deal, upper level stuff. You can't prove it. It's all like hearsay. So it's pretty amazing to observe some of these things happening. But in the first order of business, I guess there's like an interpretive letter 1183 in regards to banks, allowing banks to engage in like crypto products and services. So this is kind of another small thing in the background happening, and in the coming weeks, months, we're going to see more implementation of crypto. I'm a big believer in crypto. I'm not a genius with crypto. Don't get me wrong. I'm a believer in it because I believe in the concept that artificial intelligence needs crypto and crypto needs artificial intelligence. It needs blockchain. So it can transact not just money, it can transact information securely. Um, and somebody smarter than me can break this down, but that's my pea brain going, connecting the dots. Um, So take it for what it's worth. AI, crypto need each other. Kind of like the United States and Canada need each other. But let's jump into that because this is really the big part of the show today. Um,
He's getting a really big head. That's
I
right.
know
Yeah,
it's
that's
big.
true.
It's terrible that my head's so big. No.
Then you're like,
Yeah, it's so like a week and a half ago, I I said, right, Justin Trudeau said he was going to resign. And but he was still there doing stuff.
yeah,
Um, he meets with Trump like 3 months ago, and Trump's like, whatever he said to him, Justin Trudeau's like, I'm resigning. And um, orders of the crown is what I was told is Mark Carney was going to be appointed prime minister of Canada. So I came out and I said that. Um, I assumed it was a backdoor deal already happening, but now it's official in broad daylight. No election, no nothing, right? Uh, Justin Trudeau, like in the process of resigning, he goes to the Governor General of Canada and he's like, you know, what do they call it? Procreation, proclamation, whatever. He says something to give Canada back to the crown is code of what's happening in some weird way. Um, and then they're like, well, we're going to appoint our boy Mark Carney. Now, this is all in for the process of liquidating Canada and handing Canada over to the United States. So my prediction of Canada becoming a state is one step closer with this happening. Now, I get on camera, he's saying, we beat him in hockey. We're not going to, he's saying all this stuff. I don't care what he says. Watch what happens in the coming months. There's going to be big things happening. This is a big thing happening. Um, so he,
lifetime,
so
like a
yeah,
once in a lifetime.
so he was appointed to prime minister. Like the people didn't vote for it. Some people compare it to when Kamala was appointed the candidate, you know, for the presidential candidate instead of Biden. Some people compare it to that type of appointment. Um, but Mark Carney, this guy is a banker. This guy was involved with Brexit. This guy, let's take a step back. The world is run with trusts and treaties. The world is run with trusts and treaties. How sovereign is Canada for them to be like, give it back to the motherland? How sovereign is the United States? How sovereign is any country? The things are run with trust and treaties. This is like trust law and treaties to make this appointment even possible, which I was some will treaty or compact deal in 1971. We can look it up, whatever. That allowed, someone to just to be appointed in as, prime minister, but basically to be appointed. It's not the executor of a trust to be appointed as, someone to
Manager.
manage the trust while it's in probate,
Yep.
while it's being liquidated. But the narrative they're telling us is different. He's appointed to fight for Canada. He's appointed to tell Trump no. You're going to see a roller coaster happen. And in the end, the United States is getting Canada. I'll take it a step further. In the end, Russia gets Ukraine, China gets Taiwan, the US gets Canada, Greenland, and Russia will get part of Europe, uh, I'm sure more things in Asia will go to China. The deal's been done, right? We're having issues with Canada, our polite tariff war, our crazy tariff war. And what does China do? Oh yeah, we're going to slap 100% tariff on Canada too. Like we got your back, US. It it has more to do with the agenda that's happening. I know this is crazy. I realize that. This is crazy stuff happening. I realize it's crazy to me. Now, I'm not for or against what's happening. I'm an observer. I'm just watching. And because, you know, 100 years from now, what is the best thing for everybody? I don't know. I also understand for many of us, it's going to be very difficult to let go of the old way. I get that. Because I don't even know what the new way is or looks like. Or it's all based off like they're not telling us. It's not clear. But it's happening whether you like it or not. I keep telling people be flexible, you know. Don't fall in love with it. Be flexible. You know, it's you know, you fall in love with the house, the negotiating ends when you're buying it. Don't fall in love with the deal. Observe, be flexible. There's the waves are coming and they come in sets. Anybody surf? You sit out there and wait for the sets to come in. You get three, four waves that come in, then you sit and wait for the next sets to come in. Um,
Yes, this is true. I've surfed.
you surfed anyway.
Waiting is not the fun part, but you get this little wave. Everyone's looking at you. Why did he take that wave? That was dumb because you can see the big ones coming in, and you got to wait for
Donnie takes the little waves. That's what we're trying to say.
them. B cup only.
I'll take the big ones. They're like, oh, Rick's going to take the big one. I got to take the little one. Uh,
Never took the little one.
if you surf, it's amazing. These little kids are phenomenal. It's like it's so hard to compete with these young kids out there because they're phenomenal. They were born on the water. Um, but anyway. Surfing's a beautiful thing in the morning. The fresh, salty air, the sun rising. It's like peaceful. Uh, it's a peaceful, athletic. Uh, being in the water with nature and jaws, waiting to nibble on your toes. It's a beautiful thing. Um,
You know what's funny? One time, my mom's probably not listening right now, but me and my brothers went to Santa Monica Beach,
mm,
and we came home later that day, and we're watching the news, and they're talking about sharks in the water at Santa Monica Beach,
yeah.
and our mom's like, "Weren't you guys there today?" I go, "Mom, that's us right there on camera." There were sharks were underneath us when we were out in the water trying to catch waves.
Nice.
Yeah, so they're there. You
Mhm.
just they stay away from you. There's not like the movies are trying to hunt people. They're just as scared of us as we are of them.
I don't know if they're scared of you. They're just not. You're not on their taste palette yet. Uh,
Don't tick them off.
yeah, I've surfed with some sharks, and it's kind of intimidating. My heart rate increased, and they ate me. No. I had my feet together underneath the board, like trying not to have like a random like foot fish to get
Yeah,
nibbled on. I was like, uh, but we were paddling out. It was around Thanksgiving time. We were paddling out, and we are doing a sunset surf, and
yeah.
it's by San Onofre, the nuclear power plants just south of that. They call it Trail One. And you go down there and surf, and it was a high tidal shift. And anyway, we're paddling out, and I see this fin pop up, and it's like a 3 foot tall fin. And I was like, man, that sucker's big. There was a little local tiger shark there that's like a little 4 footer
Yeah.
we call Fluffy. And I was like, Fluffy grew up. And I was like, one guy with us, he turned around. He was from Holland.
I've never seen them wild surfing, but like that time with the cameras, and yeah, it
You know,
definitely shocked me.
uh,
That's scary. That'd be scary.
yeah, the guy turns around. And anyway, the next day they shut down the beach and they said they had two mega whites and like a
Wow.
18-foot tiger.
Wow.
that were in there looking for something. A few years before that, there was a whale that beached, and I wonder if they could smell the death in the water.
Huh.
I don't know. That's above my pay grade, but uh, anyway, these things were big enough just to be like, you're a chicken tender. But you're getting into like 20+ foot great whites,
Yeah.
that just chicken tender.
All those teeth.
Yeah. And I didn't have time to ask them, do we really taste like chicken? But I was definitely nervous.
Yeah.
Uh, I've been scared with porpoises dropping in on my waves. I'm like, oh, it's just a porpoise. But by that time, the panic, I'm like flying into the water,
Yeah.
like, porpoise. But sharks, yeah, very impressive animal. Something I don't want to be swimming with, but we swim with them. So
Yeah.
I have a lot of
Unbeknownst to most
I
people.
have a lot of respect for the water, if that makes any sense. But I've been on the open ocean, and it's just the wind. Anyway, that's another story for another time. But um, hmm,
I believe we were talking about Canada.
yes, Canada. The whole point of this is the sharks are coming,
Yes.
and you taste like chicken. No, I the whole situation is crazy. Like, I'm not for taking Canada as a 51st state. I'm not against it. I do believe for what's coming, we need each other. And I think the world is designed it that there will be a consolidation of regions and currencies to simplify and strengthen places. Uh, the economy, when Trump was running for election, and everyone's like, "Oh, he's going to fix the economy. He's going to do all this stuff," and I was like, "No, the economy is going to crash." And it's the numbers right after he's elected are not going to look good. Little by little, things are not going to look good. And the economy is going to crash for a while. He's not going to be the booming economy from the first administration or the first term in office. Um,
He's consolidating debt.
that there's a lot of things happening. So I think we're at a teeter-totter moment in our structure, humanity, our matrix, where the the lie, if the lie is continued, the end result is catastrophic. And so they got to tell us about the lie, the truth. People talk about, oh, the time of Aquarius. Well, I don't know much about that stuff, but somehow it's about truth or whatever. So I'm like, okay, I can like that idea. They're telling us, let me paint a picture for you. Uh, right. People believe in Santa Claus, as kids. We, in our Western world, we believe in Santa Claus. We believe in the system. And they're coming out and telling us, hey, there's no such thing as elves. Our elves aren't really little people. And you're like, oh, okay. And then you're like, you know what? They're not really good with tools. They don't really make things. And you're like, that's weird. How does Santa do this? And then they're like, you know what? Reindeer don't really fly. And you're like, well, how does he, do this? And then they're like, you know what? It's impossible for, a person to slide down a chimney. We haven't even got to the Santa Claus isn't real, folks. We haven't even got there. They're hinting that, their ears aren't pointy. They're not little people. They're not good at making stuff. And reindeer don't fly. Like, we're in the process of information coming out, but we haven't got to Santa's not real. We haven't even got there yet. But it's coming. But they have to prepare us with the whole process. And a reindeer doesn't really have a red nose.
Soften the blow.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah, I did notice that Rudolph isn't showing up much anymore.
yeah, exactly. So they're they have to destroy the lie in a way where where we don't freak out, and and maybe they're doing a good job because they're like, hey guys, aliens are real, and everyone's like, Who cares? So like maybe we can handle more than they think we can. You know how like you want to not tell your kids certain things because you think they can't handle it, but sometimes they handle it well. Like they're tougher than we think they are. Um, anyone who's been through a divorce and you got to sit down the kids and be like, "Hey kids, I got an announcement," and and for a moment your kids are like, this is the worst day of my life. You're explaining them, the truth of the situation is not working out. And you explain it and they're heartbroken. But then, some time goes by and they're like, "Hey, I noticed you guys are both happier now in your own little worlds, building new lives," and so they're like, "Okay, it's interesting." Um, we're tougher than we think we are, and we can handle the truth. The issue is we believe in Santa Claus still. We believe in the lie. We embrace the lie. As we transition into this new structure, and it's a new structure from many different aspects. You're talking about uh, potentially the food system. You're talking about the media. You're talking about the financial. So uh, you're talking about all these things. And then you have to go, okay, we need all these things in place in an order before we implement the quantum financial system. And we need to have these things in place before we implement this. And AI needs crypto. And you got all these pieces of the puzzle that have to be put down in a certain way for this whole process to work. And that's scary because many of us were used to the old system. We don't want to let go of it. But the system, the train is left. The train is in motion. It has left. And many of us are not going to let go of the old system and we're going to fight it. And it's going to be scary. But the train has already left the station. The train has been in motion, at least in this financial plan. What I was told has been 20 years in the making. It might have been an outline before, but 20 years ago, they sat down and they're like, okay, we need to develop a cryptocurrency. We need to do this. We need to do that. And when the time comes, you got to keep it separate. But when the time comes, we're going to swing it in and do this and that. I mean, uh, like some of the stuff has been planned for a long time. And that's hard to comprehend because I can barely figure out what I'm wearing. I don't know what I'm wearing tomorrow. I don't know, I fly by the seat of my pants so much in life. Like I couldn't imagine having a plan. You set these goals. Where do I want to be in tomorrow? Where do I want to be in a week? Where do I want to be in a month? Where do I want to be in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? Like the stuff's blurry to me. Some of you probably have it all figured out, but like I don't.
You don't set your clothes out the night before.
Oh, no, you should see me looking for a pair of work jeans this morning. Go, I might be painting today. I need some pants that are kind of beat on. I'm like, where am I beat on? Where is my super suit? Like I was like, well, these ones have holes in it, so
I get out of the shower, I walk in the closet, I'm like, all right, I don't want to wear that. I don't want to wear
yeah, I just pick it as I go. And a lot of people do. We live life
by the seat of our pants.
by the seat of our pants, and I'm good at it. I
Yeah, our work pants. Yeah. But
by the seat of my work pants. I'm no different than anybody else. I put both legs on at the same time.
both legs on?
Both pant legs on at the
Oh,
same
okay.
time, like one at a time. um,
With my gimpy, I gotta dangle the left leg down so I can lift up my leg just enough.
yeah,
But so I struggle, and I'm really hurt that you're making fun of people that struggle.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's all right. I can't touch my toes. You can make fun of me for that. So the whole point of this is the Canada thing is is wild. It's crazy. Things are happening that are unusual.
Yeah.
A prime minister without a vote, this or that. Now, in the coming weeks and months, you're going to see the actors act.
Yeah.
Consider they're all actors.
They say it a lot when they're talking on the in chamber. They could talk about bad actors, and you hear that phrase a lot, and Rick brings it up a lot. So there's got to be something to it, right?
I mean, And in a certain sense, if you look at some people's backgrounds, I mean, Zelensky was an actor, he was a comedian and whatever. And then you got Trump was an actor, Ronald Reagan was an actor, and then you got other actors that may have not been on TV that way. It's like, uh, it's,
They're putting on a show.
I think more than we would like to admit.
2 days or more for funds to end up in their bank account. But with parallel economy, you get the funds the very next day. Many have extremely high rates and fees, especially with reward cards or program cards. Plus, there's no contracts, 24/7 merchant support, and they'll match or beat your current rate with rates as low as 1.49%. Switch to parallel economy today. Link in the description below.
The next day, paid the next day. With crypto coming in, you'll be paid immediately. In 5 seconds, it'll be paid.
XRP is like 10 seconds, right?
It's like a text message. That's how long it takes for the transaction to process. We were talking about Web3, the quantum financial system, the quantum computing. And it's crazy for me to think that with crypto, you don't need to have a retail bank anymore. You don't need,
Yeah, they all offer a card.
yeah, your cell phone or whatever will have all the keys and tokens. It'll have everything or access to everything that you need um, to manage your money. You don't. I mean, yeah, you're getting into a cashless society and different things, but like you won't need. And I'm like, what's the banking system going to do when they're not needed as a middleman anymore? And the power of banking goes to the individual. It'll be interesting to see what regulations they put in. Like right now, Trump is saying, you're right, no taxes on American-based crypto.
Yeah.
And what happens when you're paid in U.S. crypto? And you're like, that's income, but hey, you said no taxes. Well, they tax it later because they're just trying to get it implemented. I don't know, how it goes, but at the moment, it's looking like they're not going to tax it. I think as the truth comes out, it's going to be like, well, we never really needed to tax the people. But that was just, that helps us keep them under control, enslaved, is probably the truth of it. And it's going to be a sad day for many of us to see how much we struggled when there was no need for it.
Walt Rose says his clothes are in a pile, and he finds whatever he finds.
Those more like the sniff test.
That's Jeff. Thanks for that info, Jeff.
Is there in a pile? I do have a pile. Like if I have like a work shirt that I'm like I'm gonna be dirty tomorrow, I'll repeat that. Um,
Always good to have Jeff on the show. We
yeah,
actually had him as a caller the other day.
yeah,
It was fun.
yeah, yeah. Um, you we're also talking about our little town. Our little town is going through a lot of a lot of little changes going on business wise. Um, and I think for some people it's shocking because they have I'm not from here, but they were born and raised here, and there's been establishments that have been here, you know, 30 years, 20 years, 10 years, whatever, and they're transitioning into new things. And it's scary, exciting. There's disappointment of what's happening. Um, and I don't want to talk too much about, business because like some of these people are competitors. And I'm like, it's sad, to see things struggle and for whatever reason. And there's gossip and rumors out there, and it's really hard to determine the true actual cause of some of the things that are happening. And so I don't want to get into any of that because I'm like, although with Porterhouse selling and changing the chapter, um, I do appreciate that they put out a notice. Thanks for supporting us. Da 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 da. We're selling to these guys, to the Elks, and like I appreciate that they came out and said, you know, basically what was happening. it may not have answered everybody's questions, but it did say, "Hey, this is the process. Thanks for helping us out." Turning a new chapter in life. So they said something, and I appreciate that
Whereas
transparency.
Sporty's was still up in the air.
Yeah, I can't even comment on that because there's so many.
Rumors.
Yes, I was like, I, I don't even know what the truth is. I've heard so many stories that I'm like, I'm not going to comment, but I do believe in, 1 to 3 months is going to be back open again.
Something will be there.
Yeah, it'll open back up and things will be rocking and rolling again. So, I mean,
Midway got purchased too, right?
I believe so. I haven't heard any follow up on that. Other local businesses in town that, things are just changing hands and things close and open. It is strange that so many are happening in a row. I think that's more
Boeing
concerning.
shutting down, Rue 21 leaving.
Yeah, big lots. There's some small businesses that have gone down. Last year, I kept track of it. This year, I'm like, I don't want to keep track of it too closely because my point last year was, what do we have, like 20 closures and 13 new ones? And I was like, hey, we're out of balance with new business versus those going out, and we'll probably see more of that. Um, and I just want to remind people that having a small business or having any business, there's a lot of hoops and regulations, and
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean I'm heavily regulated.
Yeah, it's because you got gambling too.
I have gambling, I have
You
a
have
liquor
alcohol. Yeah.
license, I've got to please the state, I've got to please the city, and some of them are like the same code, but they enforce them differently. And I'm like, I'm losing my hair. Can't you see? Like, I'm like, it's crazy.
You had hair when I met you.
And then they'll say, you can't do that. Then some other place will do it. And I'm like, hey, they don't got a sprinkler system. Hey, wait a second. They don't have their tables bolted down. So do I get a free pass now? Like, what's the deal? Like you told me I couldn't do it because of XYZ, but they have the same similar situation I do. So what is it? But that's just anyway, it's frustrating to be have handcuffs and then other people not. But
Thanks for joining us, Paul Martinez.
it's anyway. But that's life. Throughout life is not fair. I mean, I would love for it to be fair and be like, hey, that guy's getting away with it. But until it's
Yeah, that's
regulated
real. Thank you.
individually, we just don't know. But life is not fair. It's possible I'll be regulated more heavily than they will be. It just depends on the situation.
Stephen Young, good to have you.
Um, oh, what else is happening? 7 trillion needs to be refinanced. This is like the largest, biggest refinance that the United States has ever had to do. Some people believe this is the reason for the stock market crash, the trade wars, putting pressure on these things so that hopefully we can pressure the Reserve Bank to reduce the interest rate so we can refinance them at a lower percentage. Some people think this is what is happening. Wouldn't surprise me. Um, this is above my pay grade. I'm not some like scholarly guy to be like, hey, this is exactly how it works. But it's a concept that, like, hey, if we can crash the economy and crash this, we can refinance the 7 trillion, get us through this hurdle, and buy us time to implement the new financial system. I just want to remind people that everybody answers to the Federal Reserve. We are the reserve currency of the world in the United States. Everybody answers to us. The Bank of Canada settles with the Bank of London. The Bank of London settles with the Federal Reserve with cross border payments. Like they all answer to us. So
I can disagree with that, right?
you can disagree.
I believe it's the World Bank that has the Federal Reserve is one of their banks. They have three banks: the Bank of London, the Federal Reserve, and then one other. I forget where the other one is.
Well, I disagree.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
just from my studies, the World Bank controls everything, and we're the military arm.
Yes, I believe that.
London is the bank arm, That's why so much is around the crown. And then the Vatican is the religious arm.
Yeah, so the religious arm on the chessboard, the bishop is the Vatican, the knight is the United States, and the castle is London. And London controls the real estate of the world, is how I understand it. The Vatican controls the people, and
If you look, the Federal Reserve is owned by the World Bank.
and then we control the war machine. And to do the war machine, we have the reserve currency. So we print money, we fund everybody, we do all that fun stuff. And that funding has just stopped. And that's going to send the domino has been pushed, and you're going to watch the dominoes click, 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 fall. And how it spreads will be very interesting because if we've been paying for the majority of the war machine up to this point, these other countries have, they pay a small percentage to the war machine. They're supposed to pay a certain percentage of their GDP and they're not. But it's allowed them to be like, hey, let's have free health care and let's have these social programs and let's have all this stuff. We've been spending all our tax dollars on the war machine that, you know, we didn't get those privileges, perks, whatever. Um, and so we've been squeezed pretty hard in that regard. So all these countries are now going to have to make new alliances, um, new agreements as we kind of pull out of NATO, and or they have to pay their fair share, whatever happens. Um, and these countries are going to get squeezed. There's going to be some small little countries that are going to be like, nobody's going to want. They're like, you don't make anything, your dollar, your currency stinks, and you're on your own. And they're like, hey, we need a buddy to, and and Russia will probably swallow them up, just like, "Gloop, thank you. Uh, but I think it's all part of the restructuring, the new financial currency. So big things I'm looking for, right? Since I don't, you know, this is all woo woo future stuff. I'm watching Fort Knox. I think the Fort Knox gold, whether they open it up and they're like, oh, it's full, and they cut one in half, they go, oh, it's lead, or it's empty, or like whatever narrative they give us on that is going to send a ripple effect through the world. If it's empty or it's fool's gold in there, it's going to send a ripple effect through the world, and there'll be a lack of confidence in the dollar, and the dollar's going to go be like, wow, and you'd be like, why would they do that?
Um, Jeff says if Trump wants to fix our money, all he has to do is sign an executive order and implement the Gold Act of 1934, and the Fed would be resolved overnight.
Probably true. I do believe it's going back to a gold or I'd say
Asset.
asset-based
Yeah.
currency. I think it's going to have pieces of gold on it. Um, I think it'll have crypto on it. I think it'll have natural resources of the country on it. And it'll be a mixed bag of assets. Um,
He also wants to know if he can get a free stripper pole from you.
yes, yes, I have a stripper pole for sale. Somebody's like, I want that in my shop. We have parties, and I was like, what? I was like, well, I guess you could have it. I don't know. I got to find a home for a stripper pole, guys. Um, I was cleaning out a
At least you're not trying to find a home for a stripper.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Rehoming a stripper.
Rehoming stripper comes with a pole.
Oh man.
Uh, he comes with a pole. No,
Oh yeah, we didn't say it was a male stripper.
but I was cleaning out a rental property, and they left a stripper pole in the master bedroom, and I was like, oh, crazy. Um, I was thinking, does he do OnlyFans? Like, I don't know. It wasn't quite adding up. But you never know. You never know. Obviously, OnlyFans wasn't paying because he had to move out. So it's crazy. Anyways, it's kind of makes me laugh. It was something I didn't expect to see. Uh, in, uh, yeah. So just putting it on gold, you have me thinking, Jeff. Just putting it on gold, I don't think is enough for what we're trying to do because of the crypto and all that. But I think it would be a good step in the right process. I think it's be part of it. Um, we'll have to wait and see how the dust settles with this. Um, yeah, the world is changing. The U.S. stopped funding. We pushed the domino. All the world that was receiving millions of dollars or billions of dollars, that's dried up and is changing. I don't know what that means. I do believe in the end, in the coming years, we're going to be left with like three currencies: BRICS, the dollar, and crypto.
I would highly suggest Rick looking into the World Bank. You'll see that the member the developing countries, they have their own type of reserve,
Yes.
and but they all answer to the World Bank, and they've been trying to consolidate for years to make it simpler. And it's at the forefront. You're right; it's happening right now.
Yeah.
People talked about the Great Reset, all kinds of things. You know, it's talked about in the Bible, and the one world government. I mean, we're seeing some things happen right now that are like people have waited a lifetime to see.
Yeah, I've heard the concept of the Great Reset and all this, and some people are like this is it. And I've heard a lot of crazy stuff. And I have to take a step back and be like, okay, we just got to wait and see what pieces fall into place. Because I think, yeah, call it a reset. I call this a collapse and rebirth. I don't know what the baby's going to look like, but the train has left. It's happening, and I don't think we can stop it. I know many want to preserve the old, but right now the old is we've got like 5, 6 trillion in assets and 37 trillion in debt. And they're going to add another 4 or 5 trillion in debt this year. You know, it's like it the debt's going to start growing exponentially um, here soon, where it's going to be, I guess, that you'd say unsustainable. Some of this stuff, I'm like, why didn't we fix this years ago? I was expecting, 2000 we'll fix this,
Jeff
2020
says that
fix this.
Europe is flying pallets of gold to the U.S.
Yes, I have heard that. So most of the gold is held in London. And when it says China took shipment on 500 tons of gold, they just move it from one side of the vault to the other. And Brazil got this much gold, and they just move it from another side of the vault to this and hang a Brazil tag, or there's rooms. I don't know what the vault looks like, but um, and so it's possible that our gold was there, and it's like we called it due, and we're bringing it back. It's possible. I've heard that they are shipping gold back. I haven't seen any great. I haven't seen like receipts on it, but I have heard that uh, concept or conspiracy. So, like, are they going to open the vault and it's going to be loaded? And they'd be like, "Hey, is it all Saddam's gold?" They're like, "Wait, this one's from." We don't want to talk about that. Um, but I have heard that.
Dread Pirate
I
Roberts.
have heard that, and I was like, "Hey, when they open that vault, it's going to be stacked." But then I'm also like, "What if they want it empty? Or what if they show us the empty corner? Be like, oh wow, you know, to crash it." And I'm like, "Oh, we found other gold reserves," and then they could bounce it out later. Like they already know what they're going to show us, I believe.
They sure are taking their time. That's for sure.
I yes, this
It's the setup, right?
why didn't they show us? They're like, we're going to go into Fort Knox. I'm like, you said that like what 3 weeks ago, a month ago? Like, how come we're not in there yet?
He said the gold toilet. I don't know what that means.
Uh, you flush it? The throne? What? I don't know much about a gold toilet, but that's a fun one. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody wants a tax. Even your toilet, you got to pay tax even with the toilet paper. You sit down, you pay your probably the water treatment center. Like,
Yeah.
this guy's gave us a tip.
Not just the tip. Oh, he's saying Iraq, the gold toilet.
The gold toilet in Iraq. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Where's all this gold? Are they bringing it back? Are we buying it back? Like, what's going on? So, uh, it's super interesting to see what happens, and we have to wait and see what they're going to show us. And is that narrative manipulated? Like you say, are they flying it all back in right now? Um, that's, it'll be interesting. I have heard that. I just can't prove it. I'm like, is it going to be loaded, empty in between? Are they going to cut one piece of gold open and be like, "Hey, it's lead"? Like, yeah, it's like what is really the truth? And I think hopefully they'll show us soon. Hopefully,
Yes.
at the same time, they already know what's there. So like what just showing us and the excitement is showing us is like what's the narrative anyway. Well, that's all I got today, folks.
Short one today.
Short one. I just wanted to brag that
He was right.
Mark Carney appointed Prime Minister of Canada. So anyway, I wish it was my own, but this is just somebody in a secret society whispered to me, and I repeated it. So can't take all the credit, but it's crazy. These are unprecedented times, folks. Be fluid, be flexible, because it's crazy out there. Thanks for joining us. Have a blessed day.
He said, "Have a blessed day." He never said that before.
Live.
It's still recording.
Blessed day.
Forgot I have to be in Tri Cities on 2.
I was like, guys.
I gotta go to Tri Cities, fix some alarm panel